Awesome.
Making a difference. That is where I am right now. And my three daughters, the only thing I want to ask from any man, treat them right. Treat them right. Treat them right. Treat them right. No more, no less. If it means that I need to buy a house for him, for the both of them to go establish, whatever I'm going to do to make sure they have a good, successful life, that is what I think I'll bring on the table. It's not, in my language, we talk about selling the girl child. It's just not. It doesn't set up a good situation from the word go for people to understand, to become one, and to be able to excel. Because if the woman and the man don't understand how to work together in synergy, it's going to reduce the potential that they have to succeed. And it starts with marriage. I've seen it firsthand, the power that is in there for a man and a woman to become one. I mean, yeah, concubines and say those things have always been, but that is not the ideal. We need to push for the ideal. When Jesus was asked about divorce, he said Moses did it because of the stubbornness of the people. God's intent is for a man and a woman to become one. It's very powerful. See, the Bible says that when two agree and act, things are going to happen in the heavens. And the agreement between a man and a woman is very powerful. Very powerful.
Well, Dr. Nkemleke, don't you think that societal influences have played a major role in making it what we're talking about today?
Yeah, you're right. I think part of it is, okay, why does a man need other women on the side, mistresses? He gets married, the thing is not going the way it's supposed to go, he needs an outlet. So instead of dealing with the marriage and fixing it, it goes, it's a solution. But in providing that solution, other issues go wrong. So think about a child that is born in those situations where the father comes and goes, It is raising kids and having a family where you are there 24/7 and the impact and the influence. Now, I say this, my wife has a master's in child development. Before I came to the U.S., never read a single book on child development. But what I know right now, part of the impact on us and our achievement level and where we are, you can trace it back to how we were raised. It's very unfortunate that we are still making those mistakes. Parents are supposed to be there for their children to influence them and set them up to succeed. Now, when you are spread all around, you have kids everywhere, you don't have time to invest in the lives of those children. What do you expect is going to be the outcome of those kids? Yes, the man has made his carnal needs, but what about the fruit that is being produced out of those unions? It's something that, I was a child that I'm born in a situation where my father is not going to leave an inheritance to me. My father cannot be there when I need him. It's not a good situation.
Pertinent point indeed, Dr. Nkemleke, and you know that we live in a society where those things happen more often than we are comfortable to talk about. But then, back in the continent, what should parents do on the African continent from north to south, east to west? Should they copy these things blindly and try to incorporate them in their lifestyle?
What we have to do is we're asking ourselves, I have a child. What is it I'm seeing in that child? What is it I want this child to become? In the days of old, the highest thing a child could do was to grow to become an adult and get married, build your own hamlet, buy your father's hamlet, and propagate the family name. But things have shifted. Our economies have shifted. These days it's about empowerment, positioning your children in other areas to be able to succeed and flourish and do well. So I think marriage is part of that picture, but it's not the only thing that we can do. In my village, in the times of old, when you had a girl children and you had male children, the bride price, so you're focusing on giving out your girl children, taking them on and looking for wives for your son. But today, if your son is well empowered, they don't need money from the father to go get married. If the girl child is well empowered, she does not need to be entangled in a bride price, because that used to be used as something to bind the marriage and make sure that it doesn't fall apart. Because when the girl child thinks about how much her family is going to owe if the marriage breaks, they will stay in there. But it will need to change. It's no longer those olden days. These days, the women are empowered. Women are making more money than the men. So we need to look at other means of keeping marriages together instead of using the money and stuff like that. That is my understanding.
Pertinent point. Yes, and with that, we will not go away. I know you will never go away. You always do that. We want to stop over with our flight has to stop over in Houston, Texas, where Reverend Pam has been not just listening but streaming this telecast or this broadcast today. So, Reverend Pam, so much has been said by Dr. Nkemleke and by myself and in my reflection and divine at the beginning. So, what is your take on Can We Stay?
Asong, thank you so much. Good afternoon. And of course, Dr. Eric, I'm not going to try to pronounce your name because I don't want to massacre it. The people do that to my name all the time. I just want you to know you are the core of this Africa Online, and we appreciate you for your faithfulness. Asong, this Can We Stay thing, I don't have any personal experience with it because I've never lived with a man. And when I do, in the near future, it will be with my husband. And I'm not putting anybody down. I believe people have their reasons why they do the things that they do. I remember a phrase that is popular in the Cameroonian community. I don't know if it's popular in other African communities, but somebody said, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? And not too long ago, I'm part of a group, I'm not going to say which group, but where one of the ladies lost their baby's daddy, their baby's father. And this organization has a practice of contributing money when somebody loses a spouse or a family member. And just trying to talk about some of the disadvantages, of this Can We Stay thing, and there was this debate. I was like, okay, is this person entitled to the contribution because the person was not a spouse in the legal sense? I know in Texas here, and if not all the states in the United States, that's what they consider common law marriages, where you live with somebody after X number of years, whether you guys have a piece of paper from the court or you go to church or you do traditional, you're husband and wife. As a matter of fact, in Texas here, the laws favor the women. So you can live with somebody, and when you guys separate, whether there was marriage or not, there was no license, the court will award that woman X percentage of the estate, depending on how long you've been married. My thing is that, we need to think about these things. I know some people do that for economic reasons. They do that because they need two incomes. But my point is, if you're going to live with somebody anyway, why don't you make it? I'm not a proponent of all these 3 extravagant marriages. I'm not, I think Dr. Eric mentioned earlier at the wedding in Cana, when Jesus did the first miracle, by the way, converted water to wine. There was no court marriages. It was a wedding, a celebration. So my thing is that those who can afford it, do it, but don't do it, because I've come across couples that actually separated after a lavish wedding because of financial challenges and indebtedness. Please don't borrow money to go do this. The two of you can go before God, get a witness. I'm not saying that, do it behind the scenes. And to the wives, I know women, a lot of the times it's the women that want those big fancy weddings. But you don't have to have the kind of wedding that Meghan Markle had. Don't put this man under pressure. But sometimes, depending on the couple, the bride is the one that actually foots the bill. Sometimes it's one of the parents, or sometimes it's the family. So if you can afford it, do it, and get people, do it at your own level. Cut your coat according to your size. That's what I would say. But I'm saying that when you decide, I'm not talking about people who find themselves in a situation. When you decide to start bringing children into the world, okay, think about the consequences. Okay, what names are these children going to bear? What about the inheritance? Because there are people that had kids out of wedlock, not even out of come we stay, but then when they got married, the will did not include the first child or the first set of children. So we need to look at all those things. Nobody's being judgmental here. We want people to express their opinions and tell us their experience if they want to, or they see fit. However, these are things that are affecting our community, and our motto in Africa Online is raising awareness about issues that affect Africa and Africans, seeking solutions to those issues and making progress. So maybe we have brothers and sisters back home who don't even know that they have options. Sometimes they might not even know that, look, I don't have to give in. I mean, if this man wants me to stay with this man, need to make me their wife or their spouse. This has nothing to do with religion. This is just about protecting yourself and your status. So, because there are people that have been abandoned and they were broke. If you guys watch this movie, Why Did I Get Married? I mean, those are not Africans. Well, what's his name is an African anyway. But I'm just saying, the guy cleaned her out and she was left with nothing. They were married. So when you're going to do this thing, don't go in blindly. Be informed and make sure that you know your self-worth and your value. And for those children that are a product of these things, you have nothing, because you don't choose your parents. There is nothing wrong with you. And you can still be, look at Barack Obama. He was raised by a single mother and he became the first black president or African American president of the United States. Over to you, Niason.
Thank you so very much. This is Africa Online, where something can combinate, or what we call come with day. It could have a different face to different people. It could have different meaning to different people. Over the week, during the week in our WhatsApp chat group, somebody who says, who identifies himself as a Wimbum from Cameroon said, concubinage is dreadful to me personally. He said it is indecent and that it gives rise to illegitimate children, renders graduates undesirable marriage suitors, and creates an insecure social climate for friends of such relationships. Whatever it is something that is happening, that happens, that is happening, and that may continue to happen in our society. So as Reverend Sam said, we're just trying to raise awareness to ensure that you don't go into it unaware of the consequences. That said, is there anyone on the line who is ready to share their views or experience on conversation? Somebody is trying to say something, but talking to somebody in their immediate surroundings. Please, it's a lady's voice. Do you want to participate, to contribute, to say something? Please, come in. Nobody is silent. So Dr. Tangumon, please. I know you are still there, and I know that you still have a lot to say on the topic. So, what is your next point about come we stay?
Yeah, I think Reverend Sam said a lot of good things that it's important for us to follow up on them. We need leadership. We need people to set the pace. It's easy when you say everybody should sew their coat according to their size. I mean, for some people, even they have to sew their coat according to their material. It's not even their size.
I like that. I've never heard that before, but I like that.
You don't have enough material. Maybe all you have is enough to make a headscarf. You should do that. I did something very extraordinary for my wedding, which I'm still to write about. And thank God that my wife follows suit. She has always dreamt about this white wedding and stuff like that. But she went along it, and because I was being given this message earlier on that I'm going to share along the line, I had to meet it myself. My sister-in-law had a wedding gown and everything for us to attend it down. And they went along with me, and I'm forever grateful for that. We need such stories. We need to promote them and start telling people there is an alternative. Because the pressure to fit it, the pressure to be like everybody else is very strong. And it's not easy to, be different. And that is why most people get married. And instead of the marriage bringing the blessings that the Bible talks about, it appears as if it's a curse. Because they didn't do it right. There's no money, there's no need to spend his money and pleasing people when after 3-4 years nobody remembers how you were dressed on that day and nobody remembers nothing. We need to go back to the basics and make sure that people understand what is happening. But I think every relationship is a commitment, and especially for the women. If you think get married to another woman in court. But when you stay with somebody as a woman, you have 2, 3, 4 children with them without any guarantees, without any commitment, without any protection. You're not being wise. Because if that man walks away on you, which people do all the time, you can't start all over. And so I think any man wants to assault, you should make that commitment to that woman. You should get married to them. Why don't you want to get married? Why are you afraid of?
They want to have the milk. They want to have the milk without having to buy the cow.
No, you cannot have the milk without buying the cow. I think the frustration would, I mean, I was a young man. I got married, you know. They used to say this thing that I thought it was just, I've experienced it. If you speak to one woman and let them and know them and understand them, you'll never have need for trying to milk all the cows in the world to figure out if they're having satisfaction or not. So, the problem that most men want more women is because they haven't sacrificed enough in terms of putting all their eggs in one basket and nurturing that relationship and getting the best out of it. I will forever, say it that if you want to get the best out of the relationship, stick to one woman, get to know that woman, do whatever it's going to take for your souls to commune together, but to understand what oneness is. That is God's ideal, and it happens.
Now, Dr. Tangumo Nkema, all of us on this program, when we talk of marriage, by the way, what is it? Is it having it blessed by the family? Is it going to a mayor's office and having a piece of paper signed? Or is it going to church to have a priest bless it? When we talk marriage, what is it really? If I take and we stay, and I've not gone to the mayor, I've not gone to the priest, am I not married? Am I not living happily with this woman? I mean, I can share a personal story because I did. I got my wife, we went to the Nabor, we went to the mayor, signed the papers, and we lived together. It is until we had our 5 boys that we were able to ask the priest, can you bless our marriage? And he said, I'm not asking you to organize a big party. Just bring your 10 immediate friends, and I will bless it in a service, during a church service. And that is how it was done. There was no extravagant expenditure. There was no ball after no gala after the ceremony. We just went home, ate our fufu and jamajama
and you're still happily married.
And that is it. Please, let us define what marriage really is. Is this signing papers? Is this knocking the door and going with your wife? Or is this having this gorgeous church ceremony?
I think that the commitment that you make to a woman and tell them, I'm going to be faithful to you, I'm going to walk with you, I'm going to remain true to you, is more important than anything else. Every other thing that we do out of that, it's a witnessing to this commitment. And so that is why when you show the respect to walk to somebody's house, we call them door, and tell them that I'm seeing your daughter, I want to take care of her, I'm going to be true to her, I'm going to be faithful to her. I think that ceremony is very crucial. It's a family that is giving their daughter away to this man to get married to. And we should ask, the pastor should show up on that day, pray for them immediately. Why do you have to wait 5 years, 10 years, or whatever? Well, God is always involved in our lives anyway, so the pastor should preach. The imam, whoever is going to bless it, that's what we want to do. I mean, on the legal side, we have to obey the laws of the country. So if we need a marriage certificate legally, so that if this man goes and misbehaves, I can take him to court to hold him accountable. That has to be incorporated in there. So it shouldn't be another ceremony. So, I think 2 families getting together, exchanging whatever vows they have, and praying, is going to make that marriage just like it's a marriage. It's not because we went to some big cathedral. I mean, by the way, these days, don't you see the divorce, the amount of divorce that is taking place, marriages that are done without families actually merging? Where two individuals who are in love, we're just going to do our own thing. At the end of the day, there's no accountability, there's no support, because they're left behind everybody. when two families get together and these vows are exchanged and you support the couple and help them, you have stronger and better marriages. Because part of it is that learning to live with each other is a dying process. There is no marriage without ups and downs. And when you bring in two families, you have different characters in both families. You start learning how to move along with everybody. And in that process, it helps you to also learn how to deal with one another. So when you cut out the extended families and all that and try to do your own thing, you usually get frustrated. You just cut out the man, cut the woman when things are not going so. I rest my case.
Ania, so.
Thank you so very much, Reverend Pam. Yes, or anybody else on the line who is ready to...
Yeah, I think somebody just came in. Yeah, let's give them an opportunity to speak, then I'll come in.
Yes. Please, you just came in and have something to say. Please go ahead and say it. The window is open, the door is open, the house is yours. Share your views, please. People are just coming in to listen. Reverend Pam, over to you.
Okay, Nia Song, your situation was not come with stay. You actually did that knocked door, that's traditional marriage. And as a matter of fact, in this in the millennial generation of Africans, they are even more into traditional marriages. If you go on the internet, Facebook, social media, you see a lot of flamboyant, traditional marriages. So a lot of these young people now are actually, gearing toward that and leaning toward traditional marriages. So your situation was not come with stay. But there's something I want to mention, especially for the sisters, because sometimes the sisters want to help facilitate, this marriage thing, and then they would be very acceptable, and accommodating of this come with stay business. But there's one scripture I'm going to quote because I'm a Christian. I'm going to quote it, and anybody can quote whatever book they read. But in Proverbs 18:22, it says, "He who finds a wife," that's a he, findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor. So the she is not supposed to be the one to look. And sometimes some people feel like, oh, maybe if they live with a guy, and they play the role of a wife, then, the guy will propose, and vice versa. So we really need to be careful. We really, really need to be careful, because there are situations where the man has kept that woman, delayed her future, robbed her of a happy relationship, and then they see either somebody who is younger or somebody with a more perfect figure eight, and vice versa, and they decide to move on and leave this person behind, either with a bunch of children or with no kids at all. So you need to weigh your situation and ask yourself, does this person really know my value? And it goes both ways. But by the way, I want to ask you and Dr. Eric, if, okay, I know this is not that common, but I'm sure there are married women that have men outside. A year ago when we did this show about, when we talked about polygamy and polyandry, there was a tribe, I can't remember that tribe, that the women married multiple men. I don't know if you remember or not, or if Dr. Eric has come across that, but it's in Africa, where the women marry multiple men. I would like both of you to, either one of you to comment on that.
Well, I have never come across that. I know that one man gets married to many wives. It used to happen in my culture. These days, it doesn't happen anymore. And in my culture, the first wife was often the one that brought in the second. And the second will bring the third.
That's ridiculous.
As long as they knew that their husband was still strong and fit to be able to take care of them socially and otherwise. So, and I've not come across a situation where a woman gets married to many men or more than one man. So I don't know if Dr. Nkemleke has experienced that.
I watched a clip, I don't know, 2 weeks ago on Facebook, somewhere Uganda, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in East Africa, where this woman was married to two men, and because we're not raised in that environment. Polygamy was practiced as well in my area. My dad had 3 wives, ended up with one, but I grew up as a kid. I don't have difficulties processing polygamy. Not saying that it is the best situation, but I understand how it can be done. But on the other side, I have a hard time trying to process it. Those that are raised under that environment, they get conditioned as kids, and it's not strange. And that is why what we're saying is that laying that foundation is very important. What you want, the outcome for your kids, for your family, you do that when the family is still very young. And that is why we are not refusing that women that are married, but they still run behind other men. Or unfortunately, most societies have been chauvinistic, where it's the men that have been writing all the rules and everything. It's changing. So I think when women expose themselves to a situation where there's no commitment, I think commitment is very important. Most people don't want to make a commitment and get married to somebody. I don't know. It's not being honest. You have to. If you want to get married, and that's for every woman. Somebody approaches you, and you're hanging around them. You have to ask them a pointed question. What is it you want? Where are we going? Why are you here? It's very basic. Don't just keep letting them, as I said, I'm milking the cow, stuck in the necktie, Really? You have to decide, right? Yeah, what is it you want, Let's define this thing. You don't wait for 2-3 years, let's say you're pregnant for them. No, you cannot use, either a man has a plan or they don't have a plan. If they don't have a plan, you have to help them have a plan.
Well, I want to jump in here. Yeah.
Yes, Reverend Sam, go ahead.
I have a question when Dr. Eric was talking, because in most societies, and I think even in the African community, you can only legally get married to one wife. So my question is that those polygamous homes where the man has, my grandfather had more than 42 wives. I'm talking about my grandfather. My dad was a monogamist. A lot of his siblings were polygamists. But I'm saying, so the other wives now, would they be considered come we stay? Because there's no legal, or I'm sure they're in those, they pay bride price, like the traditional bride prices. I think they do that. But talking about these women telling the guys what they want, I really support that. Be honest with yourself, and don't expect the guy to be a mind reader. If you start dating somebody else, but does it go from dating to courtship? And I saw something on Facebook. I was sharing with Nia last week that this guy posted that if you are dating somebody you're in a relationship for more than 4 years, that is not a relationship. You are taking a course. I don't know which courses last 4 years. I think he had that backwards. But don't just be assuming that, if you work extra and bring more money, or you lose weight, or you give him sex whenever he wants, that will make him marry you. If he's not made that commitment to you, you need to hold him to it. You need to hold. I was in St. Kitts. I bought a T-shirt that said the men wear the pants, but the women control the zipper. I bought that T-shirt. I'm not gonna wear it, but I bought it because of the inscription on that T-shirt. So you, the woman, you have a trump card, and I really don't want to use that name Trump, but you have a trump card. I'm using this so our listeners will know what I'm talking about. So you need to put your foot down. I personally, I will not advise anybody to move in with a man. Get your own place, get your own job, have your own car, and take care of yourself. So tomorrow, if things don't work out, you don't have to be penniless, or you don't stay in a relationship that is emotionally abusive, or where you are being starved just because you don't have options. That would be my encouragement to women, and vice versa, even men. Back to you, Niason.
Yes, thank you very much. And the one issue that Dr. Nkemleke and we and all of us have made allusion to are the children, the fruit of these experiences. Can we stay, or can we get married and live forever happily together? The children of the can we stay phenomenon, in many cases, turn out to be without the right to inheritance, especially if the man is already married to some first lady, and then the other ladies have children by him. They turn out to be left out from the will. Is this a good thing to encourage? Are the children not the primary purpose of making a relationship with a person? And should you abandon these children on their own? Are you not creating a terrible economic situation? And the takers?
Not only are you creating a terrible economic situation, you are setting these children up for failure. The role that a parent has in the life of a child, in their brain development, setting them up to succeed in life, is huge. You know, some of us just think, oh, I have a baby, and that is why I'm so sure. There's someone who had their child here in this country, and the child is a year old. They pick that child and send them to Africa to be raised by whoever. You know?
Exactly.
It's mind-boggling. Why will you do that? Not have mercy. Not have mercy.
They don't want to take responsibility.
No. We need to have a conversation about this issue. You are setting those children up for serious trouble. You know, it's a no. And that is why before you bring a child into the world, you need to think through it. You're going to need to be there. It's not just enough to have fun with the mother, have children, and you don't put in the time and the energy that is required to prepare them to succeed in life. It's terrible. We should condemn it. Don't have children, spread them all over the place or swim my wife out, and eventually you don't make sure you are pouring your life into the lives of those children for them to grow up and be empowered enough to make a difference and fulfill their purpose while they were born. It's a serious responsibility. There's nothing more important than that. By the way, raising successful children. I'm not saying that you're going to control the outcome of your children, but the foundation is very, very crucial. That is why the influence saying should raise the child in the way they should go, so that when they grow up, they're not going to depend on it.
Yeah.
Brain development and child studies are showing that the first 6 years of the child are the most crucial. By the time they're 6, their personality is fixed, everything about them is fixed. So those first 2 years, they need to do everything to expose them to set them up to succeed. And we are not doing it. A lot of us struggle a lot. Self-esteem issues. We don't believe in ourselves. We just, somebody needs to bring it up. And then let me touch a little bit on that dating issue and people hanging around a woman for 4 years and they don't know where they're going. The Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing. You cannot meet a woman and it takes you 10 years to figure out if you found a diamond in the rough or something like that. It means the man didn't figure out what they were looking for. When you see it, you're going to know. And when you know that, because a woman comes in the life of a man, not just to complete them, but to launch them to the next level. How can you meet such a person and you don't know? Yeah? It defeats my imagination. Marriage goes deeper than having sex. Sex is the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake or something. It goes deeper than that. You're looking for a helpmate. You're looking for somebody to complete you, to make you whole. When you find that person, you know. We should stop playing games. And that is why for the woman, somebody meets you, you should define that relationship. You don't just allow it, we're going to have fun, go watch movies, and just hang around, start sleeping around. Oh, now you're taking a chip. They should tell you what they're looking for. What do you want from me, man? Let's talk about this thing.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Eric, a lot of times it's selfishness. They want to eat their cakes and have it too. They want to enjoy the benefits of being married, without the responsibilities and the accountability of being married, and like you say, that they're not thinking about the children. They are not. The kind of relationship I had with my dad, he was my everything. Being around him was heaven on earth. I really cannot imagine, what life would have been like, not having my dad. Then my mom passed away when I was 7. So, but I'm just saying that these people don't care. They really don't care. Okay, and the women are not making it any easier for other women. Some of them, yes, maybe after the 3rd child, the guy will marry you. Really, you have to wait till that time. So you are in limbo. You don't know what. So know your self-worth. Ask. Some people are afraid to ask, because they're afraid that the guy will just move on. Then let him move on. Because he was not the right person anyway. If the person is the right person, believe me, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything for them to propose to you. And please, don't be asking anybody for a ring. Let them give you that ring. But just let them know your expectation. From the beginning, let them know what you expect. If you just want to date, fine. If you wanted to go from dating, some people just date, then they go to girlfriend and boyfriend, then eventually either come with stay or courtship or stuff like that. But you have to be honest with yourself. And then the man, don't expect the man to be a mind reader. He might not know. You might be sitting there angry, talking to everybody in this world except the person you're supposed to be talking to. There are some people that even talk to their parents, to the person, the guy's parents, and vice versa. There are people like what's his name, Eric LaSalle in Coming to America. When I was talking to McDowell about the daughter, without talking to the daughter, you need to talk to the person. Because when you guys get married, if you do get married, the two of you will have to live together. You have to learn how to communicate. So please don't be shy. Let the person know what your intent. Ask the person what his intentions are, and let them know what your expectations are. That would be my advice. It is not okay because everybody in your village or everybody in your neighborhood or all your friends are doing it that you should do the same thing. Please don't. And all this thing about biological clock, don't go and do come will stay or just get pregnant. If it happens because you did not plan it or you didn't know, that's a different story. But I'm talking about purposefully getting married. Getting pregnant because you want somebody to marry you, or you want to hold that person into this come will stay business. It is not fair to that child because you don't know the kind of environment. You don't want to raise a child in a loveless home. That's the worst thing you can do to a child. It affects them psychologically, emotionally, even physically. Please don't do that to your children. As I will still have 4 minutes before the top of the hour, so I'll hand it back over to you.
Yes, Dr. Tangomonka, I'm directing this at you. Now, there is this situation. One of our discussants during the week mentioned it, get out some points that might have been new. I'm not very sure that some parents disown their daughters when they get pregnant, and they have the only other safety place for them to go is to go live with the boy who impregnated them. And of course, she just because she's safe, she feels safe there, and the boy is not saying anything, as Reverend Van is saying, about marriage. She just keeps living there. And should parents, are parents not aggravating the situation by turning away their daughters who get pregnant out there without being prepared for marriage?
Yeah, I think if we should love our children, you're going to do your best. If the child stumbles, we should create an atmosphere for them to bring for that child and have them process and deal with it. Disowning the child, throwing them out of the house, I don't think that is the right thing to do. I'm talking like someone who has 3 girls. Once in a while, things run through my mind, or what if something happens? How are you going to handle it? I think you have to let the children know you love them. It is not what they do, but you have to tell them the consequences. So they come in, they're going to go through the motions, they're going to go through the process of, going through them with that pregnant, somebody suggested to, do away with it and stuff like that. And they're going to have that child. And our actions have consequences. But I don't think pushing the child out of home is a good thing to do. We should forget about our so-called family image. We are all this, our daughter go pregnant, and so we're trying to protect. We always protect it, We all make mistakes.
That child could become the next president of the United States.
Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. You never know. That's why the
unknown overrides the known, so we should be ready and prepared to accept whatever outcomes we'll face tomorrow. So that said, I know it's not yet 4 o'clock, but Reverend Van, you had something to add to what Dr. Tangomonka just said before giving us the news for next week.
Yes, again, we cannot overstress this situation with the children. Let's think beyond ourselves and about the children that we are bringing into this world, because again, children don't choose their parents, and in this day and age, people really should be careful. There are guys that just drop kids everywhere. That tells you they're probably not using condoms, or they're probably not having protected sex. It's not just about preventing pregnancy, but also catching sexually transmitted diseases. But then again, ask yourself, why are you getting into this come we go business? Come we stay. I'm sorry, I said come we go. Well, it might as well be come we stay, then come we go. Come we go, we go to court or go to the... Come we go to the altar, Hopefully all the come we stays will have now will go to the altars, or go to the court and get married, And as we are speaking, there are people that have been living with each other maybe for a decade or plus. It's time. I'm hoping that with what we are discussing here, some people will decide to take it to another level. I know when we did a series on marriage, a lot of marriages were restored. So it's the top of the hour. Again, at this time, we do our announcements. We're going to be talking about voting rights and election participation. There are a lot of people that gave their lives, died, fought for voting rights in Africa. Let's not even bother talk about the United States. It happened here. A lot of people died for that. But there are people that gave their lives for voting rights. And, we want to encourage all those who are registered to vote or who are not even registered but they're eligible to vote to go and register and participate. It's not enough to be a sideline, a quarterback or a Monday morning quarterback. You don't want to get involved. You don't want to participate. And then you sit and criticize the government. Get involved. Go vote. Let your vote count. At least go vote. Even in countries where there are corruptions, elections are corrupt. Go do your own part and vote. This past election in the U.S., a lot of people did not vote because they didn't like either candidate. And then look at what we ended up with. So there are several elections going on throughout Africa now and in the future and just in the immediate past. We want to encourage Africans to participate in the electoral processes of their various countries. We're not talking about any particular country. We're just trying to encourage Africans to participate, to vote, and register to vote. And when you are registered, make sure you go to the polls. Whether your candidate wins or not, at least someday, somehow, some kind of way, things will change. But I want to take a minute and talk about our event that is coming up, the Africa's Brain Bank and Brain Bank Summit and Charity Ball. It's March the 30th of 2019. Please, it's not that far. We want to sell these tickets out by November the 30th. This is going to be a life-transforming event. It's not your regular party. We're going to actually have a summit with African intellectuals that we're going to sit down and address how to collaborate, how to develop Africa and Africans, and how to serve Africa and Africans. That's our motto. Our slogan is the solution to Africa's brain drain. Everybody talk about Africa's brain drain. Yes, Africa has been drained of its brain, but guess what? Africa's Brain Bank is the solution to that Africa's brain drain. No brain will be lost. None. This bank has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with intellectual capital and property and brain power. All Africans, all 54 plus 1 nation, Morocco included, will be represented. Morocco has been readmitted into the African Union. The African Union will be represented, and we want people, tell everybody, you need to talk about this. This is not a one-man show. This is not just Africa Online doing this. It's not just Africa Brain Bank. This is something that the future of Africa depends on it. We are going to turn the lights on Africa, and we're going to keep it on. This is one epic event. And if you're an African or a person of African descent, you cannot afford to miss out this event. It's a must attend. You must be part of it. Over to you, Asong.
Thank you very much. You must be part of it. And the event will be taking place at the College Park Marriott Hotel. It has spacious rooms and an extensive parking lot. So, Dr. Nkemleke, I know you are still in Arizona or somewhere in the West. Make sure you put it on your calendar and try to be here on March 30th, 2019. I was going to say 20 now. That said, now, Dr. Nkemleke, back on our topic of concubinage, can we stay, and whatever. Now, what will you say about a situation wherein the wife is barren and the man is living or keeps this other woman somewhere? Should he continue this relationship, given that his wife is barren, and maybe eventually the concubine gets pregnant and gives him a child? I know it happened in the Bible. What is your take on keeping a concubine just because your wife is barren?
That is a very good question, and I think I'm not going to approach it without the sensitivities that it deserves. The other day, somebody asked a question about artificial insemination, where a lady, goes to the sperm bank, gets inseminated through that. The question was, what is wrong in doing that? Again, what about the child? What about the child? How are you going to raise that child? How are you going to make sure that you have that input from both the man and the woman? In the Bible it happened, and the consequences we are living with them right up to today. I think that this may not sound very palatable to many people. In our culture, we honor children, we want children, and that is great. But don't forget that you can still have a good marriage, you can still fulfill your calling and your destiny without necessarily having your own biological children. My grandfather had 105 wives, he had hundreds of kids. But when the day came for him to die, he couldn't exchange his life or the life of any of those children. Let's not make a mountain out of an anthill. You are not going to sacrifice principles. You're not going to create more problems because you want a child by all costs. I don't think it's worth it to destroy a marriage, bring a child into the world where you will not be able to raise that child and in an ideal situation and create more problems. So any marriage out there struggling, in so much as a social stigma, they don't have kids, you have resources and many children that you could adopt and help them to do well. So we need to start looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah, from your first point, you mentioned the artificial insemination. But years ago, we didn't have that technological advance. We do not have the means of doing artificial insemination. That is today, and it is not one finger. It is more than 5 fingers. It costs more than 5 fingers to be able to do it. So what would the average man in, say, in Gulumekong in Cameroon will do? They don't have that means.
Oh, no, what I was even saying is that why do you want a child? That is the question, right? I need a child badly. I need my family name not to die out and things like that, yeah? The society is putting pressure on me. I need a child. But you need to ask yourself, what is more important? Just having a child for the sake of having a child, or I have to ensure that that child comes to the world under the right circumstances. Having a child out of the boundaries of marriage does not serve that child very well. Because if the other woman in the house says that, oh, I'm not going to recognize that child, it's a child anyway, and you can't hand over yourself to the child, and you don't have the time and the freedom to raise that child the right way, you created more problems. So men should stay away from that. If you are in a marriage and you can't have children, there are other outlets to use the resources and be a blessing to society. We get a little bit too selfish when we're focusing on what I want, not on what is going to be better for everybody else. I mean, sorry for that response.
Yeah, we already talked about adoption, and we talked about it a few weeks ago, and how did the response on that? Yes. So, should it be a preferred choice, adopting children than concubinage, or can we stay, or just going out there and having a child?
So I think it's going to be better to adopt a child. When you show unconditional love to people, it's going to even go deeper at times than even having a biological children that you think are going to take care of you. If you pick a child that had no hope and bring them hope, you may be amazed with what grace does. So I think I would suggest that couples should adopt a child if you can have natural children and they want a child badly.
Thank you very much. That said, the other aspect of it is in this day and age, we know of many young ladies out there who want children at all costs, and they go out there and get these children with the men, primarily because they want to receive family allowance. I know this is not very common in Africa, but because they want to receive child support, actually, not family allowance, child support. Should young girls, unfortunately, we don't have many ladies participating today, but should ladies go out there to get children just because they want to get what is it, child support from the men who give them these children. Because some girls end up with 5 different men and 5 different children.
You're talking about propagating children for the prison system, or what? How does that end? What does that end?
You met a young girl, maybe she got pregnant the first time in high school, and she just leaves school and then prefers to have A give one child, B give one child, and because she's receiving child support from these 2 different people, she's having more than your salary a month.
Yes, I say, in short term, right? It makes sense. Short term to have.
Well, short term, but it continues because the child, she receives support until the child turns 16 or 17, or 18 here in the United States. So she's having an income, a regular income. You're not commercializing your life.
Yeah, what I've seen, I've been fantastic. By the time you okay, 17, right? By the time they turn 17, they are right into the prison system because the father was not involved in the life of those children. And those things, I just can write a time. And look, you are mistaken.
Very bad.
Through the life, and let us know about that life, and the consequences are dangerous. All the people don't talk about it, but the consequences are there. My aunt is 17 years old. The time of the month, being able to start speaking the language of this guy very friendly and telling him, oh no, but how we do it like this. It was just my wife alone. I don't know how things will turn out. I was in class the other day, and this student comes to me like, oh, my 17-year-old brother, issues to the police. I'm like, wait, is that? Oh, there's no daddy. I'm like, oh, sorry. Yeah, when they're young, they're cute. Receive more.
Yes.
When they become teenagers, oh,
it's a problem.
You're going to dance, and by then, that money doesn't mean what? Is it not why we have a disproportionate amount of, families that are sacrificing for the kids and the men are there? I know that other underlying issues that we want to talk about it, but now, please don't have a child without a secure environment to raise that child. A woman or a man alone cannot raise a child. You need both parents. If you are a widow, the Bible says God says as the father of the fatherless. Because,
Yes.
And the husband to the widow. If you're not a widow, you don't have that grace. Why should you do that? It's wrong.
And talking about a child needing both parents, father and mother, the child also needs that community in which they are born, because the norms of the society require that the community be able to be responsible for the children in that community. Before Mrs. Clinton wrote that book, those of us from Africa already knew that it takes a village to raise a child. So what should we do to encourage families to not just close in because of modernity, that they should learn to turn around and accept the community to be responsible for helping them raise their children? There are community values apart from family values. Dr. Nkemleke.
I have been there, this afternoon, talking about community. Now, the neighborhood I'm living, my neighbors, I woke up and I said, oh, we've been living there for about 4 or 5 years now. We've never really connected. I'm like, oh, we need to get together and get lunch or something. People are too busy. When we talk about the community comes now in different shapes. Maybe it can be church community that you are attached to, or friend community that you are. So you have to build your own community. I'm not I've been writing a book now touching on some of those things. How you have to start building your own community, because especially when you go to the diaspora, and when you go to our cities now, even in Africa, it's going to happen there where communities are being broken down because they didn't are coming from different areas, and they don't really check each other that much because you don't know who is who. And in the village, it's different. People know each other of smaller cities. People get to connect more. So we're living in a situation where people have to be conscious. You have to build relationships with other people that can speak in the life of their children. Those who invite over to have a meal, those that you go out and tent together and stuff like that. So you do life together with people, probably they can speak in the life of their children. You can also listen to kids, we are kids who watch stuff that is going to teach them other things and these concepts. So the community can be expanded in different ways. So it's not just people that speak the same language with you or
eat the same type of food. I think when we talk about community growth, we're looking at it from that perspective. They may not deliver everything that our kids need.
Well, that is the situation. So the next question or the next comment from me will be about the fact that if somebody may be going into, well, I think we've touched on it, but maybe we need to throw more light on it. Some people want to leave behind something by which the community or the society or their family will remember them. And that prompts them to go make this arrangement to have children with a woman who is not married to them. Even though he will not hand over a heritage to that child, he still affords to go and get this child out there. This is something which happens in some societies, in some communities. What should we say about that? Should we encourage it, discourage it, or just say, well, let sleeping dogs lie?
How many children did Mahatma Gandhi have?
I don't know. Maybe you have a statistic.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So, what are you
How many
saying?
children did, yeah, I'm coming. How many children did President Washington have? The President of the United States.
Again, I don't know.
How many children did Martin Luther King have?
4, if I'm not mistaken.
How many did Mother Teresa have?
None.
Okay. If you talk about legacy, legacy is not in children. If we really want to talk about legacy, we should think about impact. Yeah, we should think about impact. I think we fit it on cheap, right? I want to leave legacy. I'm just going to have a child. Oh, come on. Come on. You know, who is remember about having children, you know? I'm saying who is? Who remember people who do things for other people? Other people. So you really want to play the big league? The big guy? Do stuff for other people. You will remember.
That's right. Yes. That is very important. And do things for other people, not necessarily in your immediate community, but worldwide, internationally.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that, you know, I think we need to ingrain in us to the point that we need to rise up. We are the only people that migrate, and we're just looking too low. So we need to think differently. And I think we break the cycle and start thinking, oh, I'm here. Oh, I can think of it, you know. These confines of I just need a child, you know. My life can have more impact and more meaning than this. I mean, I have 5 kids. I don't think that is having children. But that should not be the main focus.
That said, we are almost wrapping up the program, even though we have up to 15 minutes to go, or is it 12? Yeah, I think we have 12 more minutes. Dr. Nkemleke, you've been researching and writing about some of these issues. And we are today talking about this concubinage or can we stay, or the concept of being legally married but having other women out there. What would be your word to those people, those young people out there who may be itching to get a girlfriend or somebody to live with, but who are not ready to get married yet?
What made Adam to get married is that God realized that he was looking. He needed companionship. That was the qualification. So if you are beginning to feel that, oh, I don't want to feel alone, and I need companionship, you will have to ask yourself the question, am I ready to be responsible to make a commitment to live with some other person? If you cannot say yes, then you are stuck. I got married as a student in Cameroon with all I had to do all it takes, because I didn't believe in having a sex out of wedlock. I didn't believe in keeping a girlfriend. I had to get married to fulfill the desires that I was having at that age, as long as the one that went ahead. One of the greatest things I ever made out of my life. I was another kid in Cameroon, not from a rich family, just, you know, in the only one who is, you know, trying to learn some cooking in a store and cheap. I had to make ends meet and get married as a friend. So if you really want to get serious, life is a serious. People get serious about it. Get your act together. With the woman make a commitment. Now I'm going to I got married 2 years. Less than 2 years. I was in the United States. I've been married in my life. That's what I'm very passionate about. I went to a conference and told my wife we were praying in the United States, and she said, "Oh, don't do it." We started praying. Look at me here today. So I think that if you do it right, you need the right people. You're a person of integrity, sincerity. You take the risk. You want to be rewarded. Don't do it. Don't take shortcuts. Try to be living as husband and wife. You don't take that commitment to that person. What confusion is that? You know, I used to when I got married, right? The two I was going to have first son. My wife was pregnant. And the first one, the nurse was excited. I was like, what am I going to do now? I have a child. I'm a student. And I started thinking, Lord help me. What is the future going to look like? Right? That is when the idea started coming in my mind. You go keep expanding. And I found myself, living in a country, having, miracles and all that. So marriage made me go very fast. People should get married. If you want to have sex, you just have sex without marriage.
That's right. Yeah, it is said necessity is the mother of invention. And because you got married, you were able to challenge yourself to live up to expectation, to be responsible, and to take care of the offspring of that marriage. And on that note, Dr. Tanguma, without going away, the other aspect is there a right age to get married at for both boys and girls?
I think with the cultures right, with the right age, I think somebody has to be mature enough to take care of themselves to be in a relationship with some other person. If you can't figure your level of your life, how are you going to navigate the complexity of getting married to another person that is bringing other issues on the table that you need to deal with? So I think maturity is very important. There are some people that are old that are not mature, who are young, and they can raise it very fast. Really, at least we're looking at people who are 18 almost, stuff like that. The practice in the past was around that age. Most people got, and when you look at some of the stable marriages, those decisions are made around, 18, 20, 25, and the women who are living, who are waiting more and more to get married, and what is happening is that at times people get in their ways, and it becomes very difficult to negotiate when some other person comes in, because we are set in our ways. We are creatures of habit. And, we find it difficult to unlearn the response that we learn and have to negotiate more to have very stable relationships.
Yes, and on that basis, 2 years ago or more than that, when we just started Africa Online, we discussed marriage and we asked the question, should parents come in, or at what point should parents come in to guide their daughters or their sons to get married, or at all should they be involved in their children getting married? So what will be your take on that part of it?
That conversation has to start earlier on. When are teenagers and are thinking about marriage before you start talking with them about what they should look for, what is important. And in fact, we went through those ideas when we were here, this is how you have to see if you can't get somebody that's going to take care of you. But the greatest message is the way the parents are also enough to themselves. If you taking notes, you realize that when children come from abusive relationships, you realize that you attract with that when you are good. If your dad was a drunkard, you go marry another drunkard because you kick those that is how who is done. So I think the greatest thing that everyone can do for their daughter is to love his wife, is to know what a good man looks like. The children are watching, and for the men and for the women, they have to put their husbands, especially as well, because they are when they go out there, because children they learn by observation. They are very keen on that. So they take the light they see at home. And when I'm looking in the maid, they will look at who their dad is very good. I'm not a whole discussion every room. But generally, the best thing to do is to start modeling the way I live it. If you're having a double life, like the children are going to spend, they live a little bit different with the children. It's good to have conversation. and help them. If you have an open relationship with your kids, I think you know when to think about it.
Now, you've been very passionate about bride price. What should a son wanting to get married do to get that daughter, to get her hand, to get her family's heart? Should it just be a conversation around the coffee table, or should it be going in with a token as a symbol of your expression of love to whoever you want to get married to?
If my son was going to get married to my family, I'm going to do whatever the family is asking me to do. So I don't have control. The only control I have is what I do in my own family. When somebody approaches me and says, I want to get married to your daughter, and I think the greatest commitment that I want from that person is to, as I said, never raise a hand against my daughter. You need to write it down. That token is greater than giving me anything. Write it and sign it. I will never be mistake. The day I do it, I'm going to learn a lot of things. You understand? So, basic. Take your heart. And that is a difficult commitment. Serious. I don't have to make, I give a token of appreciation. I wrote just up this. I gave them cow. Then go to the home and start telling my daughter, remember, I gave your daddy all he wanted, and that now I can trample on you how I want. No, I don't want that. You're going to sign and tell me I will never raise my hand against her. I will make that agreement, and I will shake her, will hold you up to it. The day she tells me, you're going to tell me why you did that.
Now, some daughters get into marriage and become unbearable. Their demons come out only when they are already in somebody's house. What would you as a parent tell your daughter before she gets into that relationship of going to live with somebody else for the rest of her life?
As I said, Father, you are modeling the life you put in the game. What an ideal marriage looks like. You are man of your word. When you tell them I'm going out, you're going out. When you have somewhere in the middle, no, you don't have a simple life, right? You live to the best of your ability. How are you going to advise your kids? What does it take to keep in mind? What does it take to be a good helpmate? By the way, empower the kids enough to be able to bring it to the table. Because they've been treating them from day one with all the respect and the honor and empowering them to know that they are not just a piece of property, and empower them to have self-confidence. So when they go to get married, you can advise them how to take care of their husband as a dad in what doesn't work, and you hope that you raise them the right way and that they will follow through. And if they're having issues, you're not going to take sides. If you are called to intervene, you have to put on your objective hat and help that couple navigate. I think some of our relationships are having a lot of issues because of the way we're raised. We're having an opportunity right now to make some correction. Some of the expectations that our parents have on us are we are going to have such expectations on our kids. It's going to be different because of the way we are set up right now. Because some of the pressures we have are really coming from outside that protect the marriage, So.
That said, some mothers become problematic when their daughters or their sons get married. They cause the strain between the husband and the wife. What would you recommend on that?
So the wife,
mother-in-law.
Oh no, there are most mother-in-laws are thinking, can this woman really take care of my daughter? Of course, she can take care of your daughter. You two used to be somebody's daughter at one point got married to somebody's son. You took care of the son enough, but the son to have a kid now that you're having, you don't have to feel that you have monopoly over being able to take care of your son. You need to give them allowance. You are not married to your son. When your goal of these children is for them to live and start their own family. When that time comes, you need to let them go. And you need to understand that you are no longer the person to control. It is just an abomination for any mother-in-law to try to remote control their son
their relationship. You know, everybody has their place. The mother has a place, the wife has their place. But when your son gets married, you're no longer in charge. You have to consult with them. You have to allow them to be in touch. You know the mother. It's very real. And it brings a lot of distraction when mothers are trying to remote control their sons behind and impose talk, you know, and point to the weaknesses of their wife. By the way, when we get married, we grow because of that experience, you and your wife. It helps to sharpen you up. So some of the so-called, issues that you're already having, we just help you to learn to be more tolerant, help you to make expectations, help you to grow as a human being. So if you use that to amplify it and make relationships, because your mother is always nagging about, if your mother comes to this city, you should put her in her place. It's your wife's house. She's the person in charge. You know?
Yes, Dr. Tango Monkam, thank you so very much for never failing to be here. And maybe you have an afterthought that you wanted to say but didn't have the chance to say. If so, say it so we'll close the program.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. I think it's one in marriage is very important. It's the basic building unit of our society. And people should come to it to know it's the most important decision they'll ever make. And no woman to hang around with any man. There is no way to make that commitment. To get married to them. Not with them, they're going to help you along the line. Please stay away from it. Run away from it as much as possible. If you hang around a guy, he's not willing to be a parent, he's not willing to commit himself to make a commitment. That person will abandon you when the going gets done.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Tango Monkam, for being our unofficial guest today. You came in because you love the program. We appreciate your efforts, and we look forward to being with you in the future, certainly from next Sunday, because next Sunday we will be discussing your civic duty as a citizen of a country. Should you sit home and wait for other people to go and vote, or do you have to register and go and vote? Remember,